What is up, everybody? Welcome back to RacingDudes.com and welcome back to another one of our previews. Well, the main event of the entire year is here. It is the Kentucky Derby, and of course, 20 horses entered. We do have two also eligibles. Churchill Downs, Saturday, May 4th, race 12 on the card. Here we go, one by one. We'll go through them all, some of them faster than others because we got a lot to cover in this video. All right, let's start with from the rail and go out. Number one, Dornoch. Certainly a horse as a 2-year-old looked very good, won the Rimson Stake to end that 2-year-old season, 2 straight victories, and a horse that always kind of had talent and was just trying to figure it out. Looked like he had. Fountain of Youth, look, it was the first race of the year off of a 3-month layoff. It was kind of a joke of a field. You kind of felt like they never really asked him to do a whole lot. He wins. It's like, okay, he's set up. The bluegrass will kind of show us, is he improving? Has he taken that step forward? He just didn't run very well in the bluegrass. There's no doubt about it. Got beat 6 1/4. Really just never looked like he was going to win at any point in the race. They said right after the race, we were experimenting. They're trying to rate him off the speed. That is kind of one of the first times you'd seen him do that. So I don't know. I don't know if I really buy all of that or not. He draws the rail here. Look, there isn't anything you could really do. You just have to send him and hope he can take a gate to wire. I kind of look at him as one that just hasn't progressed a whole lot. He's not for me. I actually don't absolutely hate the draw of the one for this horse specifically because I don't think there was really any kind of debate on what he needed to do after the last race anyway. They're just going to send him. Well, the easiest, or the shortest, I should say, way around the track is to get the rail and get the lead. Just send him and hope he takes him gate to wire. That's about all you can do with him. The 2, Sierra Leone, obviously is probably the most exciting horse in the crop here. 3 for 4, won the Risen Star, won the Bluegrass. I've been debating back and forth ever since he drew it. Is this a good post, a bad post? It probably doesn't matter a whole lot because he is going to drop to the back pretty much anyway, no matter what. I do think he'll get some bumping on his way to the back with all those horses kind of coming in over him. The new starting gate really kind of alleviates some of that pressure on the inside, but you still have a bunch of horses, an abnormal amount of horses to your outside, and they're all kind of thinking we need to squeeze in. He'll just drop back, make one run. I don't think in the end of the day it's going to matter too much. I think it's more pace and just can he get through? Does he get stopped? Those are the big questions for him, but he's been very good. He's a deserving second choice, no doubt. The number 3, Mystic Dan, I'll keep it a little bit quicker on this horse. If it rains, I think he becomes a huge factor in the race. If not, I don't think he's quite good enough. The post isn't really any problem for him, though. He kind of races on the inside when he races at his best, I should say. He's kind of on the inside, so I don't think the post is going to hurt him too much. He's probably going to drop back out of it like Sierra Leone. So I think that probably helps Sierra Leone and Mystic Dan and really the horse to the outside. They're all kind of going to just go to the back together in a way. So probably that's a good 2, 3, 4 draw for their styles. But anyway, again, if it rains, yes. If not, not sure. You look at that Southwest, that was an electric race. Everything else from him going 2 turns hasn't been that great. The number 4, Catching Freedom, is going to get a lot of buzz and, deservingly so. The horse won the Louisiana Derby last time out, last to first. He is one I think could sit a little bit closer if asked, but with his inside draw, he's probably going to get shuffled back quite a bit. So that is going to be a little bit of a problem there. We'll see what happens. I certainly think at the end of the day, he's had some mental issues and it hasn't been that bad. They've kind of gotten worked out that last race, but 20 horse field and you draw inside, it does kind of make you a little bit concerned, but still he's a player, no doubt about it. He's another one. He's just going to have to work out a trip. The 5 is Catalytic. I don't have a ton of interest in this horse. I do think the stretch out to 1 1/8, he kind of improved. I thought he ran okay in the Florida Derby. Of course, he never was a threat to win. He ran all right. I still just don't have a lot of interest. It's a lot to ask in a short amount of time, but he is getting better. And again, I think another stretch out's not really going to hurt him much at all. The number 6 is Just Steel. This is a horse that has a ton of starts. This will be his 12th start at the Kentucky Derby. He was second in 3 out of the 4 prep races at Oaklawn Park. I mean, the good news for him, he's been right there with some really nice horses, Catching Freedom, Mystic, Dan, Muth, who's not in this race, but a very, very nice horse, would look good in this race. So he's been there. He's had a shot. He's never really threatened the win in any of these races, and that is a problem. He does have a win at Churchill. That's good. I thought his last race was probably his best ever. That's good as well. I don't really think stretching out is going to be a problem. He drew very well. Look, 20-1. I think there's worse horses you can play than Just Steel. Obviously, another one I really like, number 7, Honor Marie. You see the progression from the risen start of the Louisiana Derby was very good. I think the horse is on the right path. He's working pretty well for those of you that care about that. Look, he's another one, though. He's going to have to find room somewhere. He's going to drop back, make one run. He's going to have to find, spots. He's going to have to get a good trip. But if the pace sets up like it has the last couple of years, he's another one that's going to come charging, and he's going to be a bigger price than a lot of them. So he makes a ton of sense to me. The number 8 is Just a Touch. This horse, it's a lot to ask. It's only his 4th start. He was second in the Gotham, second in the Bluegrass. He's a horse that has great breeding, should be able to stretch out okay. He's getting better with each start. There's no doubt about that either. I think he can sit an absolute perfect trip with this draw. I think he'll be kind of close to the lead, if not on it, or maybe just behind it stalking. So I think he makes a ton of sense here. As the days go by, I like him a little bit more and more. And I thought the draw really helped him as well. So the number 8, Just a Touch. Number 9 here is going to be very interesting. Encino. This is a horse that I think has fooled Brad Cox from the start a little bit, to be honest with you. The horse started at Turfway Park and just, man, gets better every race. First race almost won. Second race, it broke the maiden. Third race, won the John Battaglia, and each race was getting better and better and better. Steps up away from Turfway Park to the Lexington at Keeneland, runs a better race again. Wins the Lexington, looks very good. You kind of look at his situation. He's come from out of it. He's won gate to wire. So it kind of shows his versatility. I think that's really important in a race like this. Look, I mean, I was on him in January for that maiden win. And when he won it, I thought, hey, nice horse, not bad. I was on him for his debut where he lost too, because his pedigree just looked so good that you're like, yeah, it's probably a pretty good horse. After those 2 races, you weren't overly excited about it, but you thought he was pretty good. You weren't thinking Kentucky Derby, I should say. The John Battaglia was just the real eye-opener for me. A horse named Epic Ride on the also eligible list. We'll talk back in a second. Really nice horse at Turfway too. Epic Ride really ran a great race and probably should have won, but Encino just went and got him. And the Lexington, he broke sharp. They said, take it. And he just went gate to wire. And when he found a challenger, he dusted him. So I love him, to be quite honest. I just, every race, I don't know if this is too much too quick. I don't know if he's going to be able to handle grade 1. I mean, this is obviously a much tougher race than Lexington, but he's just checking off all the boxes. So number 9, Encino, he also drew perfectly. Number 10 is T.O. Password. I don't have much to say about T.O. Password. Number 11, Forever Young. Look, everybody's super excited about this horse. He is 5 for 5. He won the Saudi Derby, won the UAE Derby. He drew a very good post. I think this is an excellent post. And look, I think it's kind of pick your poison. I think, honestly, there have been better horses out of the UAE Derby that have come over here. That being said, I don't really want to make that a slam on him, because when you think about it, we've had some excellent UAE Derby winners come over here. When you think of Thunder Snow, a multiple Dubai World Cup winner, not when he came over here, obviously, he was 3, but Thunder Snow was an amazing horse. Mendelssohn was a good horse. Derma Sotogate, a pretty good horse last year. We've had some good ones. He hasn't been as flashy as those horses. Maybe that's okay. Maybe he's, progressing, developing into this race. He's probably not for me. I haven't made that final decision on like multi-race or exactus tries, but I get it if you want to back him. And I do think 1.25 miles will be okay. I'm not really worried about the kickback situation. I'm worried about the situation is when the last time the UAE Derby horse has gotten a good trip in this race. I don't know why it doesn't equate, but it doesn't. Maybe he can buck that trend, though. Again, don't really blame me. I think he does have talent. I don't think he's ran to the hype of his talent, but I still think there's talent there. So I get it if you want to play him. especially if he stays at 10-1. That'd be great. Number 12 is Track Phantom. They're going to have blinkers. I think they're just thinking, boy, he kind of fits the trip that you'd want for a Kentucky Derby. A horse gets out to the front. He's not like a horse that's going to pull you to the front and get into a speed duel, unless you kind of ask him to go up there. I think they just think, well, let's put the blinkers on and maybe, this horse will stay a little bit more focused. He might get spooked as well. We saw that. We saw that with Palace Malice back in the day. I don't love adding the equipment. So I don't know. I don't think he's going to be much of a threat unless he really improves. The 13 is West Saratoga. I will be honest, from a handicapping standpoint, I don't have a ton of interest, but from a personal standpoint, as far as rooting for connections, this is the horse I'm rooting for. If I lose, hopefully it's from West Saratoga. It's a great story. I'm happy they're there. Look, and the horse earned his way there by hitting the board in prep races, and there's nothing wrong with that. He does have a win over the track. I think that's, a good positive for him as well in the Iroquois. We'll see what happens. I would be pretty surprised, but it is the Derby, and we have sat here and been shocked before. So who's to say that can't happen again? Number 14 is Endlessly. Horse trying dirt for the first time. Obviously, pretty nice winner of the Jeff Ruby Stakes. Looks very strong that day. I don't know if he's going to take to this dirt course or not. Trainer didn't really act like he wanted to run. He never came out and said it, but he kind of beat around the bush. So I'm not sure. I don't have a ton of interest in this horse in this particular spot. I do think he's talented. And if he gets out there and the pace melts down and he's taken to that surface, I wouldn't be shocked. But again, I think he might be better served on the turf. The 15 is Domestic Product. I hate to sit here and say it's Chad Brown, it's Irad Ortiz, and I don't have a lot of interest, but I just don't see a race where he's going to be able to win. And if you want to use him underneath, I guess that's all right. He's going to be a huge price. Maybe he can do it. We've seen huge prices hit the board before, so it's not out of the realm. He just hasn't been fast enough for me, hasn't been impressive enough for me. Number 16, Grand Mo the First, is another one. I'm glad they're here, kind of smaller connections. I think they've got a lot of improving to do there. The 17 is Fierceness. It's probably the horse I can talk the least amount about without just totally skipping over. If he shows up, he wins. I know that it's 50-50, but I mean, you look at the Florida Derby, you look at the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. I don't really know how they're going to beat him if he runs that kind of race. And I know a lot of the rebuttals about his talent level. You talk about the Florida Derby, and everybody's like, yeah, he beat nobody in that race, and he didn't. Go look at the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. I mean, Muth came back. He won the Arkansas Derby. He won the San Vicente at Santa Anita, 2 races after that Breeders' Cup Juvenile. I don't know. Muth's probably the second best horse in this crop right now, according to me. You could have a different opinion, and that's fine because that's very much debatable. But for me, if Muth was in this race, I would be using him. And not only did Fierceness beat him, I mean, he was in another zip code. And that's a thing to me. And I have the Champagne totally kind of just a line through a type of race. I have no explanation for the Holy Bull, guys. I don't. And if you're going to look at that race and say, there's no way I'm playing this horse, I have no argument, none. And if you are listening to me right now and you think there's no way I'm playing this horse, I have no argument, because when you watch the Holy Bull, yeah, he got beat around early, but he recovered really nicely. And up the backside, he looked great. Man, he just didn't run. He just did not run a step. I think this outside draw, I know the 17 holes never won the Kentucky Derby. And I know people are going to talk about that all week. For this specific horse, I think it's a great draw, because the one thing you look at in the Holy Bull and the Champagne, the horse had trouble early in the race, right out of the gate, got knocked around. If that is truly what takes him off his game, I think you had to be rooting for this outside draw. You look at the horse on the inside, he's got to outbreak him. You look at the horse on the outside, he should outbreak him. If he doesn't, and the 18 maybe kind of shoves him in just a bit, he should outbreak the 15, 14, 13. So, I mean, it really... bumping in the Kentucky Derby, getting knocked around in the Kentucky Derby, it can happen from any post. When you get 20 horses in it, it can happen. But as long as he breaks okay, he really shouldn't get touched by another horse in this race. And if he doesn't, and that is all along what's caused his trouble, I really don't think they'll beat him. But again, he could finish last just as easy. Any kind of trouble, if that's what it takes, he's in big trouble. So I've heard a lot of people say, well, he's going to get stuck wide on that first turn. I think, again, in his specific situation, you kind of just have to go into it saying we're going to give up links early in this race just to keep him out of trouble. And that's it, right? Because we kind of know when he gets bumped around, he gets in traffic that first turn, it throws him off his game. So there really isn't any situation where we're just going to save ground with him. Break, keep him to the outside, start to kind of move over and pass him the back stretch, pass them all in the last turn, hope to hold on. That's the path. You're going to have to go 3, 4, 5 wide in that first turn and just be okay with it. That's the bottom line. All right. 18 is Stronghold. This horse is getting better. There's no doubt. Sunland Derby was a good race. Santa Anita Derby, a very good race as well. 2 nice wins. I think with Stronghold on the flip side of things and the things that really, I feel like he really needed a bit better post than this. I think he is one of those horses that could sit at the top of that second flight and really get that nice stalking trip, get first run. Now he's going to, lose a little bit by having to get over. He might get caught wide as well. I don't know how that's going to work out. It's going to be a little bit of a troubled trip, I think, for him, but he's getting better. I don't know if he's going to be able to be that much better in time, to make a big impact here, but he certainly, he's one with a shot. He definitely is getting better and better. He also has that win here at Churchill, which makes him even a little bit more appealing. 19 is Resilience. It's another one. I thought the post wasn't going to be, or isn't great for him. I think he's another one that could sit kind of where Stronghold would sit here. I think they kind of desire the same type of trip. Maybe they just follow each other over towards the rail as far as they can, stock the pace, get first run at the leaders. Look, he hadn't done much until he broke the maiden 3 back. He ran a pretty good 4th in the Risen Star, and then Wood Memorial, obviously even better. So he's up and coming. This may be too much too soon. Maybe down the road you see him get that big win. This post is really going to hurt him. The 20 is Society Man. I just don't have a lot of interest in this horse. Draws a 20. I don't really think it matters. He's dropping back. He was 99-1 in the Wood and got second. So, look, I don't have a ton of interest. I'm happy they're here. It's cool to get, the smaller connections here. But, he's going to be, if he wins, he's a Rich Strike type winner, which, again, we know that can happen. Rich Strike's not the only one. Mind That Bird. Those are the horses that come to mind. Weird stuff can happen. He's going to hope for weird stuff to happen. The 2 also eligibles we'll go through quickly. Number 21, Epic Ride. I kind of like this horse. I mentioned was second to Encino 2 races back in the Battaglia. Went to the Bluegrass. I thought this horse ran okay. I mean, he got third, beaten 5 1/4. If he draws into the race, there's a chance, that he could hit the board. Mile and a quarter shouldn't be a problem. It's just, is he good enough to win it? I'm not quite sure. And then Mugatu finally on number 22, so he'll need 2 scratches. He was 5th, beaten 7.5 at 99-1 in the Bluegrass. It wasn't too bad. I mean, you just kind of look at this horse. It's kind of been everywhere. 1 win in 12 starts, so he's had a ton of starts. He seems to be a little bit better on the synthetic, although he hasn't been great in those races either. To me, should be the longest shot on the board if he gets in. And again, sometimes the longest shot on the board wins races. So we'll see. But for me, this is not one I can really put on a ticket. So, all right, that is the field of 20 plus the 2 also eligibles. I just kind of wanted to talk a lot about all of them to kind of give you an idea. I went number 17, Fierceness, on top here. I told myself, you're not picking him if he goes 1 through 5. And if he draws 6 through 10, you're probably not either. But if you can envision him getting a clean trip where he doesn't get bumped, you probably need to pick him. That's just me talking to myself. And I shake my head because if he would have won the Holy Bull, I would have the confidence that I had when, California Chrome and Nyquist and American Pharaoh and Justify all came to Kentucky. I had extreme confidence. But when he lost that Holy Bull, the confidence cut out. But at the end of the day, the Florida Derby, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, those 2 races are a little bit better than some of those horses that I listed off had ran before the Kentucky Derby. So when you look at it like that, it's like if I'm picking anybody else in the race, I'm going to say this horse can win if Fierceness doesn't show up with his best race. Where if you pick Fierceness, it's like, well, if he shows up with his best race, he wins. I mean, it's pretty much that easy for me. Again, if he drew a post where I'm like, oh, he's definitely going to get some traffic or at least some bumping, I'd be a little worried. But I mean, just like any of them, if he breaks well, and you just never know if they're going to break well or not, but if he breaks well, it should be fairly clean for him. And listen, he's drawn outside of all the other speed. We know he can go gate to wire. So if for some reason say Dornoch breaks well and he gets slammed and Track Phantom is acting crazy because of the blinkers and, whatever, another horse doesn't break very well, Johnny V will see that to his inside and just swoop right over and take the lead. And then if, those horses go out like we think and they're going kind of crazy, he can kind of just do what he did at the Breeders' Cup Juvenile and stock the pace a little bit, just kind of sit off of it, sit wide like he did in that race. And that's it. The other thing, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, Muth was coming up to him and kind of got to his hip. And then they asked Fierceness and he went right away. So he did take a little bit of pressure in that Juvenile late or in the late in the turn, I should say. He just took off again. So, I mean, I think he can take pressure. I just think he's just, take off before he really gets hooked in a battle. He's got the talent to do it. Again, I wish he would have won the Holy Bull. I could sit here and say, pound it. It's American Pharoah, Justified, Nyquist, California Chrome all over again. This isn't that. You need to get creative with your betting. You need to have a bet where he's not in the top 3 at all. You do. And that's just the fact of it, because those years I really didn't have backup bets. It was just like, I'm rolling with these horses. I'm going to have a backup bet. I know that this year, supporting Fierceness. This Kentucky Derby, it's more about how you bet it versus who you're going to have, because if Fierceness doesn't win, he's probably way back. So that's just the way I look at it. That's how I'm going to approach it. So number 17, Fierceness, that will be my Kentucky Derby pick this year. For Exactus tries, go to the website, go to the products page, get that Kentucky Derby betting Bible or the premium products of any kind. We've got it all. We'll have it all covered for you on Saturday. And then also, if you want free win picks for every track, every race, every day, make sure to go to racingdudes.com/free picks. Not only Kentucky Derby Saturday will we have all the free win picks, but every track, every day. All right, guys, thanks everybody for watching. Hit that like button if you like it. Hit subscribe. You really like it. Want to get alerted anytime we do previews like this. And most importantly, good luck if you're betting the Kentucky Derby on Saturday.